It was a normal day in the Digimon world. Rosemon was sitting by the lake near her home, just to relax and just enjoy the day, when suddenly she heard a voice behind her. She turned around and saw it was Angemon. Angemon was a very good friend of hers who had suddenly wanted to go see her to see her friend. They hadn't even seen each other for at least a while. So Angemon, she wanted to spend time with one of her close friends, and since Rosemon was the one who lived the most closest, so she thought, why not go see her one of her close friends? So Angemon sat down next to Rosemon and said, "It has been a while since we see each other." And Rosemon nodded and said, "It has been a while." Both of them were actually sitting there and just enjoying the day and seeing it, and it was just a nice warm day when Rosemon asked Angemon how it has been for her since they hadn't even seen each other for a while. She said that things has been quite well between for her, though she missed some of her friends, but she realized that sometimes it is just only to be for even though that she sometimes prefers to be alone, but she do want to spend time with some of her close friends. As they were sitting there, Rosemon asked Angemon if she was somehow involved with some other Gigi monster in a romantic relationship, since they hadn't been seeing each other, or since she's ever since so that she, as Rosemont stated, Angemon is quite beautiful and that she wouldn't have any problem to find a good partner to be with. But Angemon actually explained that she wasn't any interested in any particular special Digimonster at the moment, or she wasn't even had been considered to be dating anyone. But if she was considered, she probably would date maybe a female Digimonster, and that did shock Rosemont a bit, and she asked why a female for all this, as more as a bit surprised. She preferred more female since she had came to realize she's a lesbian, at the term what she had learned from the humans. And Rosemont then asked which other female Digimon monster would she prefer to be with if she could choose just any random. The only one she perhaps would consider to be with is in fact her friend Rosemont. And when she heard that, she started blushing a lot all her face. She could never expecting that as an answer. But when Rosemont asked if she meant it for real, or if this was some sort of prank, because she would not even like if this was some sort of prank. But Angemon said it wasn't even a prank. After all, Angemon would never prank any sort of things at all, which Rosemont realized. Rosemont asked Angemon if she was serious about this, and Angemon said that she, in fact, were serious. And even though Angemon even said that she had her feelings for her friend Rosemont for at least a while, but it wasn't until recently when she realized she had feelings for her friend and she wanted to be with her, but only if she was willing to be with her. And after for a brief moment of silence, Rosemont asked if she would consider to be with her to see if this supposed new relationship could work, which Angemon said yes. So they decided to be a couple, at least go on dates to see how this supposed new relationship could work. So for the next couple of weeks, they went on different places like they sparring match against each other, having a picnic together in the Digimon world, and just having a great time. Even all their friends was actually quite surprised that they were in fact dating. They were in fact even surprised of the term dating when Angemon had learned about the term dating and relationships from the human world. She wanted to have something, a special bond with Rosemon. After all, they actually shared this great bond, but she wanted to take the next step in their friendship into a romantic relationship. And her wish came to truth. Because despite all the things they have been going through over the years, like when they travel around in the Digimon world with their human companions, like they went so through so many different battles against strange enemies and when they traveled to human world and back, that they have been going through so much over the years, but now are in a relationship. It's like as Rosemon stated, this is like a this is a new adventure for both of us. Something that we have now entered into the unknown. Which Angemon stated with a laugh and said, yeah, this is a quite new adventure for both of us. I mean, what can we expect from this? Even when they went back to the human world to see their own friends, and when they found out that Rosemon and Angemon had been dating for a while, even they were quite happy for their friends to have been found someone to be with. But there were some times where Rosemon were not able to see Angemon since Angemon were traveling around, talk to someone, spend time with some other friends to a different part of the Digimon world. But their love for each other has remained so solid strong, even considered how much different the were between them. Even though one day when Rosemont was out just in some part of the region where she lives, when suddenly several bad Digimon appeared and they start talking about that she's not as a good fighter and something like that. They try to make her scared or terrified or at least upset her. But for some reason, their tactics didn't even work because she didn't even bother. She tried to walk in a different direction, but they surrounded her. And now they start calling her bad names, so that she's a bad fighter. She was not as a good friend to anyone else. No one likes her. But despite all these comments they gave her, it didn't even work. She was just said, she just said, you all you can do, but it won't even work. That made them upset. So they started attacking her, not one by one, but all of them at once. Even though the Rosemont tried to avoid being attacking, but it was pointless. She tried to avoid being attacked, but since she was surrounded by a number of Digimon monsters, she had been attacked, and as she was screaming of in pain for some of the attacks, at the same time she tried to defend herself against those who were attacking her. It was pointless. It was like 10 against 1. But as the all odds was almost getting a hope, suddenly some of the attackers just been attacked by some strange blast attack from behind, and all of their attention focused on something behind them. But as they were just focused on what happened, another blast appeared, and those attackers just flew out in the air, and now they had all the main focus on this appearance of this strange attacker who was attacking now them. So they all try to focus on this new arrival of attacker rather from the one they just been bullying. But at the next moment, Rosemont was at herself was on the ground, unconscious. But after she wakes up again, She was expecting that the attackers would have been surrounding her, but as she looked up, there was no one standing around her, except for one person who was standing next to her, asking if she was okay, and she sees it was Angemon. Angemon apparently had decided to go see her girlfriend Rosemon, but when she discovered what they saw in distance that she was attacked by these strange Digimon monsters, and she couldn't even stand it. So she flew as fast as she could and used some of her attacks to defend her girlfriend from being attacked. And after that moment, Rosemon looked around and saw most of the other attackers had run away, or at least all of them had run away, and it was just scores of marks around her of some of Angemon's attacks. She asked if Rosemon was okay, which she were. Only some small bruises, but that wouldn't only time would be healed. But despite all of this, Rosemon couldn't be more happier that Angemon was there to be defending her from these attackers. This made her to realize that Angemon was in fact the soulmate she had been waiting for. But there was some point in her heart that she wished that those attackers wouldn't return, or even dare to even come back. But her fear of them even return had to be relieved, because they never returned, which in her heart, in her mind, was a big relief. Because if Angemon had even appeared, she would not have even stand a chance against 10 Digimon monsters against her alone. Despite she might be a strong one, but having 10 equally strong Digimon around her, she would not have even stand a chance of just one by herself. Knowing how much Angemon was caring about her, but all of this meaning that Angemon would have lost her true love if she had even considered to go see her girlfriend in the first place. After all this big event, Angemon had decided she is going to live with Rosemon from now on, which Rosemon didn't mind at all, because she wanted her to stay with her permanently, as some sort of roommate or some kind of thing. And after all this, did it actually happen some point from time to time where some other Digimon monsters tried to bullying Rosemon when Angemon apparently was not even around. But when they saw Angemon in the distance, or perhaps even behind them, she made them to apologize to Rosemon for their bad behavior, which always worked. Even though at some point other Digimon sort of friends had thought maybe that Rosemon had lost her independence if that she is the one or had to be reliable on Angemon to be able to defend her. But that was not the truth, because even though Angemon wasn't even passing in the area, she was on somewhere else who'd been sparring match with some of their friends. Rosemon would be able to defend herself against others, depending from what course. But she explained she still have her own independency at all costs. And for that, she was just grateful that Angemon was sometimes there to help her, defend her, in if needed. And even though Angemon explained that it is she had some feeling or some sort of sense, Metaboret tried to explain it, that she can sense that Rosemon is in need of help, or that she has been attacked by some other Digimon monsters. So she could even explain how that even worked, or how she, in that sense, even appeared in first place. But Rosemont thinks maybe when they start being as a couple, it might explain why suddenly this feeling that Angemon has just appeared out of nowhere, and that she always appeared when she is needing any extra help against any enemies or any bullies. Which both actually makes sense. Because before then, if she was attacked by bullying or something like that, she never had anyone else to appearing below nowhere to be saving her from attackers or any bullies. But after this bullying started to appear much less and less for each single day. Mostly are those calling her some bad names like she would never been happy with Angemon. It's that they're two females and shouldn't be together. It's just strange and their relationship would never work out as long term. But despite that, both Angemon and Rosemon didn't even care. They actually did love each other so deeply. But it even happened from time to time. They went back to Earth to see their human friends. And even their human friends were really curious to know more about what's going on in their own lives in the Digimon world, like how much since they start dating and like that. And both actually was really happy to be an expression that their true feelings for each other. Even despite what's going on in their lives, all of their human friends was actually very happy to see both Rosemont and Angemon to be happy to be the one they loved the most. Even there were some questions among their human friends, like asking how much they spend time together, but or if there's any problems the world have, which never happens, since both Angemon would always be there for Rosemont to defend her if needed of against any attackers or any other bad Digimon monsters appearing. Even though after all this, Rosemont was really happy to see that that Angemon was always be by her side no matter what happens. Her love for Angemon beyond it goes beyond anything at most reasonable doubt. And after they had been together for about 5 years in total, Rosemon and Angemon decide they want to be with each other forever. So they decide to have something similar to an Earth wedding, to a human wedding, but instead of having rings like that, they decide just having some small ceremony which they invited some of their close friends and just decide to be like that. Even after all this, their love for each other and after this particular ceremony they had made it even stronger. The bond between them was inseparable. They would never leave each other's side as long as they lived to be beside her. After they had been together, married for about another 2 more years, they decided they want to have a family. So they adopted one Palmon, which they found was abandoned in a different area. And since both of them actually took care of his Palmon, it is actually very grateful to have someone to be looking after. And especially she was really happy to have two parents, and at least the supposed parents that what it was. But even for both Rosemont and Angemon, they were just happy to be supposedly call it married with each other and even have a daughter together. They were so inspired by their human lifestyle and they wanted to be adopting that type of lifestyle with their new family. Even though despite what's happening in their lives, everything they have been going through over the past few years when they travel around in the Digimon world with their friends, all these things had led up to this. They were meant to be a couple, and then one day later to be married and have a family of their own. They would never would have changed anything. If they had been asked if they could change anything in their past or the future, they would say nothing. Because their love for each other goes beyond itself of all the universe. And this is how Rosemon and Angemon found a true love and got a family together. The end.